Oh, there we go. There it is.
We
We
live.
sure are. Oh, there it is in both places. Good morning. How you ladies doing this morning?
I am wonderful. I'm excited to hang out with you guys.
I am
Yeah,
I am present with y'all.
I love that you're
same.
present with us.
I think that's the best way to be is a space of presence. A lot going on in the world.
Hmm.
This is true. All
How
right.
have you all been? Have y'all been managing?
I took the drugs and the drugs were working. The drugs were working. I took the drugs and the drugs were working. The drugs are working. There you
Which
go.
ones?
No. All of them. All of them. No, but I have recently started the legal meth for my ADHD. So that's nice. I'm gonna see how that takes me. Because like I need to manage that because it's managing me a little more than it needs to. So that is where I'm at with that. But yeah, that's how I'm managing right now.
Okay, good.
Hanging, talking, community, that kind of stuff. Co-working a lot.
That's always a good strategy.
Yeah, that's the only way to actually get some things done because if not, I am way too scattered. I'm difficult with people.
Mm, appreciate that. How about
Yes.
you, Kina?
I am currently working at a job so I can get on legalized, I guess, meth, which is terrible. I really don't like that. I really don't. But I'm not managing actually, So yeah. Um
That's a conversation.
Yeah, it is.
yeah. So I'm just like I said, trying to get access to what I can get access to. Um I think it's really, at least in my experience, it's really hard. I see patterns and systems really easily. That's how my brain works. And so uh, it's really hard trying to stay present in the moment and staying in, like, focus on what I can control now. But my brain also knows, like, if the patterns are correct, if history is correct, what is to come.
Mm.
Right.
And and so my brain wants to be there trying to organize around that, and that's really hard.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, do you feel like you live in a constant state of like anxiety and dread then? Like with
Yeah.
pattern recognition in that sense, right? Like is
Yeah.
that hard to come out of?
Yes.
Because like I'm more of a like I'm gonna live in this moment kind of person, right? Like I recognize all of these things are happening and time is circular and it's happening at the same time, right? Like so I'm like these things have already happened. And what I hold on to, what's true for me, is that like we've already been here, done that, and we're still here
Mm-hmm.
in this moment. So we'll get through. So I don't have the existential dread that sounds like you have with your pattern recognition. My pattern recognition reminds me that, like, okay, we've been here, we've done that. Here's the things that we need to do to get to the other side of it, and like how we could be better for what's happening. Good morning.
Yeah. Morning. I think similar to Desiree, I think mine is actually doing the same thing. It's really taking me back to um looking at history and the work of the ancestors and the blueprints they left behind,
Yeah.
and like literally taking what they, like even if you read like Dr. King, one of his last books, he's like, "Oh, I fear I've led my people into a burning house." Right? Like, how do you, which we know he did, but how do you take that work and the work of Malcolm X and
Not,
transmute it into
hold
real
on.
time? It's
What?
really about moving
Not,
it into real time,
first
because
of
if
all,
not, what happened? If not, like you don't get to possibility and dreaming if you're too busy worried about. And I can't sit in my anxiety because then I'm not in possibility and I'm not in dreaming, and that's the space we have to be in for our imagination.
Right.
yeah.
That's where I align with, right? I'm like, oh no, it's this moment, right? And like that mastery of self and just knowing like, okay, we'll get to those. Like, I'm oddly unbothered, right? Like I'm like, and
Yeah.
I've been looking into like as I'm building out my own frameworks, right, for the Liberation Education Academy. And I'm like sitting down and I'm like, okay, this ecosystem and biomimicry and just like how you move to Maisha, right? Like in that healing your way forward. Right. Like, okay. I'm not saying ignore everything. I'm just like, okay, let's heal forward though, right? Like I'm a solution oriented person, right? Like I hear a problem.
Right.
I have to really get into a praxis of asking people, what are you asking for? Do you want like are you trying to just be heard and vent or do you want solutions? Because my brain automatically goes to solutions. Like there's a problem, let's find a solution, right? So
Right.
that kind of keeps me happy and healthy.
So
That's
I'm sorry, go ahead, Keena. My bad.
no, I think like most things, it's the both and it's the balance, right? Because part of the reason why we are in this moment is because things didn't get repaired in the past. So, you know, when you don't, and I guess I can think about it from like family trauma, right? If you don't course correct something in the moment, it gets to grow. Something my mom always says is if you can't catch that thing in Genesis, by the time it gets to Revelations, it's a monster, right? So I do think, again, the balance between seeking a future that's imaginative and full, but then in the spirit of Sankofa, it's like, what do we look back and find and also challenge, right? I absolutely believe this, and I just want to be really clear. This is the opinion of Wakina Reed. I'm not assigning this to Maisha or Desiree, but we are in this moment because of what hasn't been rectified for Black and Native people on this planet. And so then things get to be, they grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, and now it's a monster. So again, finding the balancing act has always been hard for me. Um, what needs to be repaired from the past? What needs to be healed from the past so we can have a brighter future?
I mean, I agree with that, right? But that's what I'm saying is like there's a blueprint here. There's something these things have already happened, right? Like, people having these all of the things, any of the things, anything that you discuss, like, time is not new. Like I said, it's happening at the same damn time and it's circular. And there's nothing new underneath the sun. So yes, there are that reach back and get it energy of Sankofa. And I understand the balance. I get it. I think that I have a good balance, right? For me, right? Like how you said, ascribing it to myself. For me, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be taught by the past. I'm not going to be led by it, right? Like that's where I land on
I
my.
feel that. I feel both of you, and I feel it too. And I keep going back to history and anthropology, to that both and right. So, for example, we saw, I can't think of what it's called fully because I am not fully awake, but in South Africa, there were spaces where people could tell their stories about apartheid. I think it was the Truth and Reconciliation Council. So I could
Mm,
see having spaces where truth and reconciliation is necessary
it's
and needed,
needed.
right? For this moment, right? We need spaces where we can all tell our stories, where we can all point to pull out that Sankofa. But for me, I can't sit there, similar to Desiree. I literally feel everything like in my body. And so when I see the patterns, I'm like, oh, this is what happened during Jim Crow. I remember my grandmother's stories. And I remember, here's a great one. My grandmother, we would see white people move out the side of the sidewalk. I'm not moving for y'all. And if I have to tell you why I'm not moving, you can come take a class and unpack that, and then we can keep moving forward. So I got something to both end. But for me, I'm very solution. I'm very forward thinking. Like, can we reflect on the past but not stay there? Can we reflect on the past and not let it hijack our nervous systems and dysregulate us even further?
I think you and I have the same. Kina, do you do gene keys and like human
And
design?
like, I don't think so.
Okay, we're gonna do that.
Yeah,
We're
we
gonna.
need to.
I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get Leah. I'm gonna get Leah. That's gonna be my gift to you. I'm gonna get Leah to do your like gene keys and human design because I think that make. I think Maisha and I maybe we have the same.
Gene keys?
or similar, right? Like something
Yeah.
we
We probably
I,
should exchange charts and look at them.
I'm gonna do that. Like so I did that. Like so this tattoo here is me and Leah, we took our natal charts, our gene keys, and our human design, and we
Yep.
overlapped them. And we said, what does our work together in this world look like? Right. And like,
Yeah.
I generated an image, and then we got matching tattoos of that image.
Yeah.
And that's what
I've
that
done
is.
that with my other sister friend. We've done the same thing. Because I think in relationship, I believe using those spiritual tools are a great way to know, like, I would love to have Keno Desiree say, "Oh, Maisha, you're in that wound. Let's work through that." You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
right. I think that those are essential tools. Like even when I'm building out like business ideas, courseworks, or whatever, I bring all of those things into it, right? Like my soul's
Hmm.
alignment, because this is my work, right? Like, so this is my work that I'm putting out in here. So it should be reflective of me and who I am. But I think that that would be fun, Kina, for you, right? Like this insight, especially and specifically because of your pattern recognition, right? Like if you could ground yourself in your own patterning and your own, like, a lot of the thing I feel a lot of the things that are happening in the world, right? Like that's that knowledge of self and mastery of self. It's like if you know who you are, you could see through it more, right? Like the matrix kind of thing, right? Like, oh, I see you. Like, oh, I see you because I know me. I see you and I see how I'm responding to you. And it's really like there's something that you're activating in me, right? Like, so I need to check that within myself. Like, what is it? And it may be your own wound patterning. I have no idea. And that's really none of my business. Like Auntie Tab said,
Hmm.
that's not my business. That's not my
Yeah.
business. It is
Well,
my business to get
I
curious with myself, though, right? Like,
yeah. Well, definitely, I received that gift. I'd
okay.
love to learn more.
Let me text Leah now because otherwise ADHD and I'll forget.
Yeah. I actually did two of the Gene King courses. The love one, the heart. Oh, that's the one that's like it really takes you deep. My goal is to finish all of them and actually become a facilitator because I believe that is, yeah, I want to facilitate it. I want to. They don't have many. Des, let's go. They don't have many of us facilitating. And so, could you imagine if we facilitated it with Black and Indigenous wisdom on top of
That would
what
be
is
so
already there?
dope. I want to
Yeah.
get my friend Kina's profile done. For Gene Keys, Natal, and
Mhm.
Sorry, y'all.
what was that? Because I was
What you
jamming.
sorry for?
Oh no, that's just was my phone.
What song is that? Yeah, that's your ringtone?
No, that was like something that showed up on Facebook.
Oh, I was like, oh my God, you have a ringtone? How do you get ringtones nowadays? I want
No,
one.
are people still doing ringtones?
I don't know. That's why I was
Yeah.
excited. I was like, wait, people are still doing ringtones? Can you do it?
Look, no, I don't. Look, I'm trying to. Okay, I got.
All right, I sent her a text. She's amazing. I love her.
Thank you.
She's here on Instagram too, but she's Kieran's godmom, so I trust her. Like I don't just randomly let people play in my energy. I'm like, no, I'm good. You know, people, oh, I'll do. Nope, don't send me shit. Your prayers don't pass the ceiling. I'm good. Thank you. No, I'm good. No. Keep that to yourself. Appreciate you. That's
I
my
heard
no-no square. Like all of this is my no-no square. Like get out of my energy. Thank you kindly. So yeah, I said that to her. All right. What else are we doing today? Where the hell did Maisha go?
I have no clue.
Mhm.
I let's assume that she'll be returning.
I mean, I hope so. Are we still in? It says we're still live. Okay, there she go.
Yeah.
Where you was going, girl? Where you was going?
I had to pause for a second.
I didn't even know you could pause. I gotta really learn this platform because I love StreamYard and I used to use it because you can go live in all of the places. Um, yeah, but I need to figure this out more because I want to do more lives and in
Yeah.
more spaces and
I
places.
wonder. I'm trying to figure out if I'm live. I'm
You are
gonna
live.
check.
We're all live because we're on Kina's, right? I don't know if I'm not live on any of my platforms, but
So
being
I I got us live on my personal Instagram, the Check Your Privilege Facebook that still exists, and
Isn't
the
that crazy that it exists on Facebook,
YouTube.
but not Threads and Instagram? Like, all of it is
But
Meta.
it's all Meta, but it's I think they have three separate companies, three separate entities, and
Um,
the AI is not working across
Right,
platforms. The AI is just like doing it's coded different from my experience as someone with friends in just engineering. They
right,
must have different codes that flag certain accounts. So I just saw another woman just had both her accounts banned, and she's not doing anything connected to what we do. But it is women's empowerment and body liberation is what she does. So I'm not surprised that she also got it.
right. Yeah,
But
liberation work
but
period
you
is
know it might take the next 4 years, like Sean King. We this is the point of this fight, our connection, the Bonnets and Blackness. I mean, let's talk about it. He was banned for 5 years and all of a sudden got his account back. And I'm like, oh, okay.
That's so wild. Yeah, that is wild. I mean, we're all at the behest of the powers that will be, right?
Absolutely.
Because I'm like, oh, I'm shocked I've never been. I mean, no, I used to get banned all the time on Facebook. I'm talking about all the time. Or I'd be like, yo, somebody tagged me. I'm locked up for like 30 days. Like they kept putting me in jail. I was like, this shit is ridiculous. Like I have like 5 different Facebook accounts, like just sitting there. Like I only use my regular one now, but I used to have to literally have 5 of them because I guess they just got sick of me. And they were like, just leave her ass there.
Yeah.
And I don't have the numbers that y'all have. So, you know,
Oh, I
you
don't really have.
you
I
are
don't know if I have numbers, or I should stop paying attention.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
check
what
your
you mean?
privilege was like a
What do
couple
you mean by
hundred
y'all?
thousand
You mean by
people.
Aisha numbers?
Oh, I don't have numbers. I don't have those numbers anymore.
Yeah,
So
but
if,
I'm saying I never got to those numbers.
oh,
I'm at
okay,
like I might be like at 100,000 across all platforms combined.
okay,
You were
yeah,
at like
six
almost
hundred
500,000
thousand.
on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
you know,
that's
like that's a different level, right? Like I think that mine still hits at like considered micro influencer, so they don't feel like I make enough of a wave, right? But
yeah,
at that stage, you're a fucking influencer, right? Like you are making a wave at that much. I
Yeah.
don't, I
yeah.
don't.
I
I
I
curse
think
too
that's
much
something
to
that's
that
really
big.
interesting too. Is having that number. I've actually had to question myself, like, how did I get that number? Right? George Floyd passed away, and all the influencers start following you, and then it's just like I had to look at colorism. I had to look at how
Yeah,
I can code switch till I'm black and blue in the face. I had to like lately I've been really thinking about how did I have all those numbers? Like why? And then I noticed like during issues like October 7th, and then the follow that people started unsubscribing, people stopped supporting, and then you start to realize, some of us we really it was really vanity and metrics, right?
mm,
And some people only followed you because you made them feel good. And the minute that you no longer make them feel good, they unfollow. Or the minute you don't jump on bandwagons, right? So I get a lot of pushback, like, "Oh, you don't talk about Palestine enough," and I say, "Oh, well, you don't talk about the Congo enough."
yeah,
Because
like
I have talked about Palestine. It's like people have these preset conditions on why they should connect with you, and it's not real community. I found it very
it's not.
transactional.
It's actually anti-community, right? The demand of
Yeah.
a monoculture is like the epitome of supremacy culture, right?
Yep.
Like, so to demand me, because like I have, I've been trying to, I'm lying, I've not been trying, but I have a bunch of fucking recordings and stuff in my phone. And so my goal is to have more B-roll and then just like voiceover, right? Instead of like I love that you show up. Yeah, I'm like, damn, Aisha, you are dedicated, and I respect that so much. I do.
Really?
I write much more now than I ever do. I used to like do the content all the time, but anyway, my whole point of this is that like I was like, today's PSL day. Smile, yes, bitches. Yes, bitches. Good job. Today is PSL day. Pumpkin spice latte. And this is my time to shine. I become the most basic white woman in America, and I love that for me.
The fact that Des is like seasonally a white chick, like it's like it's like this
Listen,
little window of time. I love
I
my
love it. I get to bring out my Uggs and my flannel and my cottage core whore dresses. And the fall, yes. Like, you gotta love all the parts of me. Like I told Keena. Keena sent me $10 the other day and was like, "Oh, I want you to get some Dunkin'." I was like, "No, shawty. I'm gonna save that for PSL day because I'm on a countdown." She was like, "Absolutely not." I was like, "You gotta love all the parts of me, okay?"
I'm
Here's what
sorry.
I know. Here's what I know is true. I am my white friend's blackest friend, and I am my black friend's whitest friend, and I love that for me, and I love that for y'all.
I love that period. I'm trying to figure out what's PSL. I don't know the
Pumpkin spice
acronym.
latte, woman.
Oh, I definitely am not a part of that crowd. Okay, I'm
We are
like, yeah,
not.
yeah.
That
Anyway,
is
back
not our
to me.
that is not our
Back
I'm
to
like,
me.
what?
It's pumpkin spice latte day, which means that I have to fucking buy this thing from Starbucks, right? Because people are trying to convince me of other places to get fucking, and I'm like,
Bro,
to me,
not
listen,
bro, sis. You have to go to Dutch Bros. Do y'all have a Dutch Bros?
absolutely. Somebody keep saying that. I don't know, and I don't care.
I'm gonna
I,
look it up.
I don't think we have that.
Find out. Let me know.
My I want to circle back to something because I want us to handle things.
Oh, hold on a second, because I want to touch on the Palestinian thing and what Maisha was saying, right?
Okay. Okay.
So I'm like posting my joy, and I'm like, I know that there's gonna be some super woke social justice fucking warrior that is gonna piss on my PSL. And I plan on reminding them that I shan't be receiving any critique, not near bit of disappointment from any white bodied Americans until you are willing to talk about America as a fucking colonial settler state. Until that conversation, shut the fuck up and let me have my Starbucks pumpkin spice latte. There we go. Now go ahead, Keena.
So I
That was it.
I want to because like my this is why I laughed earlier when Maisha said the part about MLK. All right, and I think it's good side. Not I just want to like come back because in case like on record or whatever. So it was funny because it was like what I was gonna say in that moment is like there are lots of things I love about being black. There's lots of things I love about being a black woman. And one of them is like the way that black women do shade is just like none other. And so you did it so casually. You were like, and MLK, one of his last books is I led my people into a burning house. And then Maisha, you're like, he did. And then went to the next thing. And it was just so like spot on. But I feel like
This is
for
so
people
true.
who are not aware of the context, like this, like I just want to make sure that we put a bow there just so people can understand that it wasn't just like an empty thought, right? For like later. That's all. You know what I'm saying? Because for some people that might have been the first time they heard something like that. And so like I just want like a full circle for people who are like, why did Maisha say that? Why was that a
Right.
statement?
Because it's
That's all.
true. Because the call is coming from inside the house, which is why I shan't be taking any critique in regard to my pumpkin spice latte. Okay. Until you boycott America, shh.
Yeah.
Until you're willing to have the
Actually,
conversation that the American project is a colonial settler state inside of Turtle Island, shh. And let me enjoy my fall. Thank you.
until you wrestle with your relationship with anti-blackness and center Black liberation and pro-Black solidarity, I hardly don't have anything to offer to conversations anymore, which is why I'm mostly quiet. Somebody asked me, "Oh, in your personal threads, you're talking about infusing your water." Yeah, I'd like to infuse my water. What y'all want me to talk about? Racism all day? No, thank you.
All day, all day, all day. Listen, like, you know what it is because there is an unraveling and a decolonization in and of, and anti-blackness is a global currency, right? That shit works for everybody. Everybody leverages their anti-blackness, right? And it's like and the way that people demand us to live in it, right? Like the demanding of perpetual victimhood instead of seeing someone as survivors of, right? Like that, I'm like, oh no, we're survivors of the violence of whiteness. And I'm not going to live in a perpetual state of victimhood. One, I don't do porn, right? I don't do trauma porn. I do porn. I don't do trauma porn though. Like I don't do that. I'm not doing that for anyone, right? So we're not going to continuously talk about racism and all of those things. I get exhausted
Hmm.
with it, right? Like these are our realities. Like I remind them that, you know, unlike being white and everything else and having all these other marginalizations, which are very real for your interpersonal relationship, the very first marginalized identity is race. There is no break. Okay. There is
Yeah.
no break from the violence of whiteness and white supremacy when you are in a non-white coded body. Period, point blank, full stop. So because we are consistently living it and embodying, right? Like that violence at all times, systemically, sometimes interpersonally, it is not a subject that I'm going to stay on, right? It's very much why I'm like, okay, no, I'm an anti-oppression educator, right? Like I want to see where all of these things intersect and all of these systems overlap and how we dismantle the entire thing and we are building community and parallel systems whilst the empire crumbles.
Yeah.
But I am good and fucking done with anti-racism conversation as a central focal point. I'm like, no, I
Same.
will do it with you. Like we've been talking for 5 years. What's the next step?
Yeah.
Right.
So
And that's 5 years, us. I'm not talking about the hundreds of years and the generations that have been having this conversation. But I'm saying very specifically, we have been on a platform or multiple platforms that have allowed us finally some more level of reach for the past 5 years. What are we still talking about?
yeah.
If we're
Um,
not solution oriented, what are we doing?
so like my orientation to that statement and to that idea of like leading, black people into a burning house. My the way I reckon with it, the way I understand it is just like there's not been enough energy or resource created for the type of intercommunal healing that black people have needed, that people in the diaspora have needed, right? And because the planet is an anti-black society, we live on in an anti-black society. The space that we need to take care of our own wounding has never been cultivated, really. The resources, right? This is why my life's work is reparative justice and reparations, right? Because the reality is that if anyone experiences trauma, and then everyone is experiencing that alongside structural oppression, the kind of healing that needs to take place, needs to be supported, right? And so that's how I understand it. Like that space has never been openly created, consistently created. The resources aren't there, right? I tell people all the time there is no Department of African American Affairs. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? And so, and I made this video like a few years ago that talks about like there's never been a period for us as a people to collectively catch our breath, right?
Yeah,
To
because
get
that
down.
violence of whiteness.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly, because of all those violent systems. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that we kind of like came back to that in a way, in case someone was like, well, why did Maisha say that? Or, why was that a comment? So, that's just like the educator brain in me. Um, and to your point, I am a large believer in, well, first of all, that first Color Purple movie, not the remix, although the remix
Not the
one was good,
remix.
but the original one, the Steven Spielberg directed one, okay?
The Oprah. Yeah.
The Oprah and the
Mm-hmm.
Oprah and dang it, Whoopi.
Whoopi Goldberg. Oh, I'm
Whoopi
like,
Yeah.
Goldberg.
we are saying
So
the same thing.
Whoopi
Okay.
and Steely, like y'all, in the last couple of weeks, I've thought about this so much. The scene where she says to Mister, she looks at him, she says, because this is when Suge takes her from the house, and she
Mhm.
says, "Until you do right by me, everything you build is gonna crumble." And
I
I'm
love
like, that's America, like right, like that. I feel like that is that's the United States. Until you do right by
that.
Black folks, until you do right by the
Mm-hmm.
natives, there is nothing you can build in this enterprise that will be sustainable or healing or healthy.
But I think that that's global as well, right? Because for me,
Yeah.
indigeneity is global,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, yes, America is just a branch off of Britain, right? It is its child, right?
Yeah.
America, like having lived overseas and like an experience living outside of this country, one is an amazing experience that I'm super thankful for. But having lived outside
Yeah.
of this country, America is the teenager of the world. And and I am not a childless sort of person. I absolutely respect children as whole as people. If anybody follows me and you see my kids, like, we kick it. I am absolutely my kid's little friend. But that does not mean that when they hit their teens that, their frontal lobe, there's no adult
Mm-hmm.
thinking, right? We don't have a fully developed brain. You're petulant. You're moving through these things without lived experience, without wisdom. You got to make your choices, right? But nobody's free from the consequences. And for me, America is the teenager of the world, right? So this is just like America saying, like, hold my beer. Right. This is America rebelled against its mommy England. Right. But indigeneity
Mm-hmm.
is global. Like, right. Like, Ireland is still fucking colonized in 6 counties. Right. It's 2025. This started in like the 800s. This is not
Yeah.
a new phenomenon. Right. Land back until you do right by indigenous people, period. We're going to
Yeah.
continuously go in these harmful ass loops, right? Like, that's why, like, for me, when I'm working with white body people, I'm like, you got to get back to who you were before you were white, right? You need to be on your
Basically.
own reconnection
Yes.
journey. Like,
Yes.
you can't save me
Yes.
because you haven't saved yourself in 2,000
Yourself.
years, right? So, like,
Absolutely.
let's move at this in a way of solidarity. When you recognize that colonization happened to you first and
Yes.
foremost, we can then sit down and have this conversation as equals, right?
Mm-hmm.
As in solidarity. Like, yo, it's fucked up.
Right.
Right? Like, can we sit with this
Exactly.
grief? What was taken from you? Where are your people from? What's your name? Right? Because even, I mean, like, my mom's Irish, so I talk about that often, right? Like, so I think just ancestrally and spiritually, it's a very interesting space for me to be in as an Irish person and as a Black person, right? Being descended from the first colonized and the last colonized, right? Like, this
Yeah.
conjunction that just happens within my bloodline, my body, and my work, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, my own grandmother, my maternal one, who is Irish, her name was changed, right? So, like, this idea, this superiority delusion is insane. And we keep going in these loops because insanity, the definition of it, right, is like doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So for me, it's like, no, there's a reconnection journey that has to happen, and indigeneity is global. And we have to recognize that it's us
Yeah.
in the pyramid scheme of whiteness against the empire
Yeah.
globally.
Pretty much.
And so,
I think that's the really starting point for them. That's part of healing your way forward is you have to realize, when did you know you were white, and who were you before they told
mhm,
you you were white, and how did your family uphold and assimilate into whiteness to
correct.
further not tell you the truth. It's the exploration of epigenetics in your genealogy,
Yep.
because what I found is once you help introduce these concepts, they actually start even thinking about and their own form of ancestor work. They
It's
start to think about
beautiful.
they start to think about rituals. They
It's
start
love.
to think about honoring their bodies.
I
But
love
again,
this shit.
like,
I love it.
it's until they go that far back, if
Correct.
they're only addressing their anti-racism journey, which is a
It's
performance,
whack. It's surface level. It's like, eh.
it's you got to get
And so
deep. You
for
got to
black
get deep.
people, because that's why I think for me, even for us, that ancestral journey is so powerful,
I
right?
agree.
It's like I know a lot of black folks. I've been in spaces where they'll say things like, first of all, I hate to see a meme or a tweet come down my thread that says slavery is whatever that statement is, that's white history or whatever. And I get it. There's a context in mind when people think about that, because enslavement was definitely that violence that folks who are white enforced.
Yep.
But I think, I don't know, I always try to figure out what's the best way to frame it, because I do personally think that learning more about enslavement has helped me be empowered, right? It has helped me feel pride to know, like, this is what generations of my people, like what the Middle Passage did for African folks. And we have retained so much, we have built so much. So learning this history actually makes me feel pride. You get what I'm saying? And I think for a lot of black folks, I've thought a lot about what happened when a lot of black people had to leave the South and go above the Mason-Dixon line, right? And
Right.
because of the trauma that was experienced, I can imagine, like my own paternal grandmother left very rural North Carolina and moved to the Bronx, right? She was part of that great migration.
Can I
And
put a pin right there? Because I want to discuss maybe on another one is like I've been writing and like dissecting that. And it wasn't a migration. Like our history gets very diluted. It's refugee status, right? When you think
yeah,
about scale and make it global, right? The United States of America compared to other countries, like you could put the entire United Kingdom in Texas and still have room for Texas. Right. So when you think about the scale, we didn't migrate. Migration seems voluntary, right? Like, oh, things are not working here in the South. Let's try it up north. These people were fleeing for their lives like refugees in war, right?
yeah,
These people were fleeing the lands that they have known for generations. The people that they have known for generations, leaving things behind, right? Like, again, no different to me than that, the forced, because that's what I call the forced immigration in Ireland, right? Like them leaving there was not like, oh, I sure want to go to America and see what it's about. These people were putting their kids on boats and hoping they made that journey. Right. These people were putting their kids on box carts and just like sending them and like I wish you the best. These people were running for their lives. Like it was not a migration. A migration denotes choice. A migration denotes consent. Like, oh, like I said, oh, I moved down. I came back to the South because I wanted to. And I wanted to come back to ancestral lands and ties, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and see what that was like, right? Being in the energy of my ancestors here, right? Because now being in the Bronx, like, there's a huge, like, diaspora, Irish diaspora, and I grew up in an Irish neighborhood. So I did that. I did that in those younger formative years, being amongst ancestral Irish, right? And I wanted to come down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I came down to the South for other reasons, but during this journey of being here for the last 20 years, that has been my own reconnection journey, right? And I think a lot of us coming back to the South, there is a reclamation and a reconnection that goes on. But I just want to put a pin in that. You can go back to that because it wasn't a migration. Right? These people
yeah,
were fleeing for their lives from the terror of whiteness. Because I'm definitely one of those people that's like, that's not Black history. That's the history of whiteness disrupting Black history.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely land in that boat.
yeah.
But God, I'd love
Uh,
to hear your thoughts anyway.
yeah. So no, contextualization I think is really helpful. But I've just been thinking a lot about how when they left the South, and similar to when people experience trauma, most don't have a way to narrativize that. So they usually don't,
Right.
right? And so it just gets stored in the body. You get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And when is their release? And if the structures won't create it, then you help the community. But if the community doesn't create it, then you as an individual have to. And that can be so hard. You get what I'm
It's
saying?
very
Because
difficult.
what we're
Yeah,
asking
it is.
ourselves to do, what we've been trying to do is do things outside of models and framework. So I've spent a lot of time thinking about what would have happened, right? If there had been, again, we go back to that kind of like intentionality in creating that intergenerational repair. Because basically, you had a lot of people who left, forced my refugee status, which let me just say this. I've been trying to be really, really more vocal about this. Black Americans are displaced. No one seems to think about it like that, but we are a displaced,
Right.
dispossessed, dehumanized people, and we have been surviving ethnic cleansing for centuries, man.
And genocide.
Yeah, that's what it is. You get what I'm saying? But no one thinks about us like that. No
But
one
that's
thinks about
Right.
anti-Blackness,
us
right?
as,
That's that full circle right
yeah,
there. What it is that anti-Blackness is global, right?
there you
You
go.
could
And
Right.
call
so,
Hitler the most evil person in the world, which he was absolutely an evil human being, right? But we don't talk about Leopold.
yeah.
And
So
that's
let me
because
just finish.
we've agreed that Black bodies are disposable, right? Whether it's an active agreement or a silent agreement, that's what happens. Okay.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is being able to go back, or not necessarily go back, but I've just been in reflection
Mm-hmm.
about what those foremothers, what my foreparents had to, like, what didn't they get to release? And then, like, what is my responsibility towards that? You get what I'm saying?
I like it.
Because they, again, it's like surviving. Like, so many people who are victims of ethnic cleansing, the goal is, I just got to get to us to the next generation.
Right. And I mean,
Right?
I think that a lot of us come from like that silent generation, right? Like those button lips. Like when you really think about what was going on in those times across, again, globally, right? Thinking
Hmm.
globally, acting locally, they sucked it up buttercup, right? And then
Yeah.
that trauma gets
Yeah.
stored and they
And it's in
raise
the
people.
body.
It
Yep.
stays in the body, intergenerational trauma. Then you get the boomers. So all of that hoarding of wealth, right? Because they're afraid, because their family, they come from a generation of dispossessed people, right? Globally. This is no matter who you are. Because I remind white body
In
people,
whatever country you're in. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, you are not like every generation, y'all be thinking y'all knew. And that's crazy to me.
Well,
Like,
and
there's
also
no
for,
ancestral tie there. So like when you think about it from that global perspective, right? Like, and then like you go through those generations of people, that silent generation, those boomers, me, Gen X, who's like borderline. I always call myself a boomer light, right? There's like a lot of work to unpack when you're a Gen Xer. There's so
and
much.
so sometimes I hold the position of saying it because my ancestors couldn't, and doing it because my ancestors couldn't. Like, I
Right.
think that is
Right.
sacred work to do.
It is.
Yeah. It is. And it requires sometimes just noticing the patterns in the women of your family and writing them down and doing ritual around that, and then
Hmm.
doing somatic work with that to release it so it does not move forward. And then if you have daughters and you see it moving forward, then how can you help them break that same pattern within themselves? And again, that's the ritual work, that's the body work, because it
And
can
this is
start with
part
us.
of the reason why
It is.
resourcing Black folks, Black families is so important. Because, again, if we never had another conversation with the whites about what they need to do, what we have to do for ourselves and our community is holy work by itself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
if none of us ever had a conversation with anybody else about whiteness and supremacy culture, what I have to do at home is
Right.
significant. And I guess in
True.
this woke, whatever this is we're in, this, we don't pay attention to what's local or communal. That's some bullshit.
It is.
The people who have
Yeah.
to walk, fly, and I'm trying not to be petty today because I got a name in mind. Fly across, drive past, walk past all the hungry Black children to go where? To do what? To feed who? I don't think we could say the N word, but I'm just like,
Oh, you can't. I'm like, you
how
can't.
many ninjas did you drive past to feed ninjas? Like, so you drove. Okay, so look,
Well, I think that's the delusion. All right. That's the delusion and the disassociation. It's easier to focus on what's not happening in your own home, on your own stolen bloody land, than go focus on somebody else's
Right.
stolen bloody land. Like, it's delusional. Like, somebody can ask me. So, I was accused of being a Zionist apologist.
girl, can
And
we
I
talk
said, I
about
don't
what
even
we've been
know. I
all
don't even know
accused
what
of?
well, I
Oh,
got to be honest with you. I don't even know what that means, nor did I care to have an understanding of it. Because
yeah.
the
To
reality
interpret
is
is wild.
they can keep creating word salad and labels. That is a form of disassociation. Every new label, every new title they come up with to avoid their
It is
collusion
wild.
with anti-blackness, to me, it is a form of disillusion and disassociation. They don't want to
And
stay present to reality.
holding space for multiple truths is not one very easy, right? You could say one thing is happening. I don't know what we can and cannot say. You could say one thing is happening and still hold space for another thing that is also happening. Like we can't, I'm like, we could talk about this happening, but I am not going to collude with you to bring harm to another entire group of people either. I can name something without harming another group of people, right? And again, it goes back to that the demand of a monoculture is like one of the very foundational cruxes of a supremacy culture, right? Because if one has to be put down for another, right, that means that we have to be thinking about this in a hierarchy, and we're not actually using collectivism, we're not using a humanist approach to this, right? Like, no, we can talk about all of the things. We could talk about the trauma that gets passed down generationally. We could talk about why people harm. We could talk about what happens when you get power, when you're being backed by an empire, but you've also been a fully disenfranchised people. I mean, I can't promise what I would do. like, if given empirical power and backup just to feel safe, right? Like, there's a big conversation to be had in that. I've been called a lot of things on the internet, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I've been
And I
called worse by
mean,
better. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like,
well,
what conversation are we having right now? Like,
yeah.
okay,
But I think there is the expectation that, and has been normalized for again centuries, that black people dying is normal. That's not news.
well, I
Black
think that
people,
that's
you
normal
know what I'm
because,
saying? Like
again, their
people,
own trauma. White body people have been literally killing themselves and each other for thousands of years, right?
yeah,
Like, so imagine turning around and seeing someone that looks similar to you, right? Because obviously we are three black women, femmes up here, and we don't look alike, but we know we are of the same ilk somewhere down the line, some way. But so imagine if you're a white body person, they were putting pregnant people on pikes. The savagery that it takes to look at someone that could look like you, your own mother, your own, right? Lynching is an evolution of their own gallows for their own people. I'm never surprised at what they can do to black bodies because of the harm that they brought to their own selves and what they have done to themselves for centuries. So I'm not, yeah. That's on brands. Like, yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
oh,
But I'm just saying that the intentional cultivation by people in the African diaspora to center ourselves, right? People are gonna always be mad at that until they learn to like that needs to become the new norm, is what I'm trying to say.
gotcha.
But it's been normalized in society is black death. That's what black people do. They die and they exist to be extracted from and exploited from. Case in point, the person who had the nerves to fix their face, the very brown woman who had her nerves to fix her face
Yeah,
2 weeks
I
ago
agree.
in my IG and said talking about Sudan right now is basically pointless. And I'm like, first of all, you okay
Like,
doing this in public? And I let it go on because I wanted people to see just how
but why
anti-black
is it? I'm
is
interested.
so normal for everyone. And I think there was a lag there or something. I don't know. Are you all still with me?
What was her reason? I am. Oh,
Huh?
I am.
Yeah.
I'm still here. Did she give reasoning to why she found it to be
I
pointless?
mean, the screenshots, because it's still there. I didn't delete anything. But she was like, it's the logic of if we fix Gaza, then everything else gets fixed. That was
Which
that
is a
was
very interesting and backward thing because I believe if you fix America, you'll fix everything else, right? Like, because the idea, like, it's like the kind of thing, like the greatest trick the devil ever pulled is like to convince people they didn't exist, and that is the American empire. Like, that is pulling the strings globally around the world, like quite literally, the placing. It's interesting, like, like with the super woke culture, like people going against cop cities, which, yeah. Um, but not recognizing that military bases being placed in other people's countries.
all over the
It's not
place.
fucking cop city, bro. Like, the military is quite literally our local police in a global sense, right? And I'm like a huge supporter of veterans and troops because what I recognize is it's exploitation of the poor, right? So I will forever support troops. I will forever support those people whilst criticizing a government that utilizes bodies that they deem disposable. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think that poor people are disposable, which is why the military exists on such a global thing. So again, for me, it is like, the think globally, act locally. And like, you could see our structures are mimicked around the world. And like, there's we don't have any bases in the entirety of the United States of America. We don't have anybody else's bases.
Yeah.
We exist in too many other countries, right? Like, that is, so it's like, once you start pulling up, when you put it out on a map, a global map. Did you ever play the game Starship? Is it Starship? Do you know? Battleship. I'm like, it's not Starship. Have you guys ever played Battleship? Do you guys
I have
recall?
not. I do.
Let me look for a picture because I'm old, right? Like, so I want to. So, like, when you gamify, I swear to God, you can gamify this. But like when you play Battleship, right? It's about war, pretty much. Like it's a game, Battleship. And you have to be strategic, right? Like where you place your things and this sort of stuff. And that's what it is. You ever seen that, Kina?
I mean, I've heard of it, but I've never played.
Okay, well, it was, board games and stuff were my time. Like, you played a lot of those games. And it's that, right? Like when you could really look at all the players on the board, we are the player on the board,
Right.
right? So Gaza, Sudan, the Congo, right? Like, and we have a few people colluding, but at the end of the day, until again, for me, it goes all the way back to until we are really ready to sweep around our own front porches, quite literally. And I mean that, right? Like yesterday, I cleaned up my front porch because it was a fucking stodgy little mess. And I cleaned up my front porch and I put a hammock. And then figuratively, until we do not confront the things that are happening here and how that gets perpetuated globally, we are not going to make a dent, right? And again, when you think about it scale wise, the United States of America is huge. Huge. So the shift in mindset, right? Like, to Maisha's point, like, doing the trauma work, doing the intergenerational work, doing the epigenetic work, doing the somatic work is such a huge undertaking. It is wild, right?
Yeah.
For me to be thinking about people who think if we could dismantle, you can't dismantle what's happening there without first dismantling it here.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's what I'm saying. Creating the kind of intentional practices to support Black folks do the healing work is actually the work. There's a lot of things that I consider part of liberation. I played that as a kid at some point. I
yeah,
did.
that's why I was like, let me actually
Yeah.
show the
Yeah.
game.
I did play that as a kid.
Like I sunk your battleship, right? Like
But for, people who are trying to figure out where they can put their sweat equity, I just, I want people to know giving resources so that a Black person can go to therapy is the work. Giving resources so a Black woman could, have childcare access is the work. Doing sweat equity, create policy where, Black and Native folks here can have access to healthcare is the work. You get what I'm saying? And so once people have a more grounded understanding of the origin story of settler violence, then I think it helps people have an understanding of like what could be my part in responding to it.
I appreciate what you just shared. I also think it's a both and because people can't just be out here throwing money and resources at us and then not also doing their own work.
right,
So what yes, giving support, giving that, absolutely. But if they're not out here doing their own deep work as they're also supporting us, that could be a form of codependency. That could be a form of, again, avoiding their own work. So for me, I think it's
Agerism,
a yeah,
yeah.
it's a both and because then it could easily turn into I give you all this money in a form of manipulation and control. So you got to be mindful and careful. Like, yes, we do want support and we want you to do your work.
right. I think that goes into the solidarity, right? Like obviously, one for me, paying me is we're all surviving capitalism.
Yeah.
Like I think that should just kind of go without saying. Are you? I also have bills, right? Like, and this is my job. It's very interesting to me because I'm very forward that this is my job, and it's so interesting. Like when like people will come to me, very specifically like white women, like, and it's like I hate to bother you, and I know that this is not your job, right? Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
the language of like I know your job
Yeah.
is to educate us. I'm like my job is literally to fucking educate you. Like I'm like
Yeah.
literally my job that I get paid for is to educate you
Yeah.
on dismantling systems of supremacy and how
A-
to build intentional intersectional communities.
And what's interesting with that is I say, well, other Black women said, and you're just like, we have to
But you're
start having
talking
these
to me,
conversations.
right?
Right. You're talking to me. So if they said that that's great, Start trusting your instincts and know when to separate
That part.
who you can and who you can't, not put everybody in a clump and then start a whole thread on, I'm so confused why black men are saying one thing and not something else.
But
And you're
that's
just
that
like,
decolonization that has to happen, right? Like the monoculture again, it's like a huge thing. But black women said listen to black women, and black women said like, you know, you guys are not to educate us, and then you will go and pay white women to regurgitate the shit that we just said, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what the fuck just happens? I'm
they're
so
paying for they pay for regurgitation without true community building. They actually
right,
go
and
back,
I'm saying,
build
and
cults, reinforce hierarchy. It's unfortunate.
it is so unfortunate, and that's what it is for me, right? Like I'm not like because there's some of us that is out there also just like I don't do capitalism in black either. Like I like like pay for every single aspect of healing, and I don't think you can hustle healing personally. So I'm not on that type of time either, right? Like yes, I'm surviving capitalism, so you should pay me, and I put frameworks together, and like there's a lot of tools and skills and workshops and all of these things that are happening at all times. And I do feel deeply supported, right? I just did like, a whole like fundraiser basically pre-selling things for my psychosomatic practitioner training. And I'm almost to
Yeah.
goal. So those things
Yay,
do work.
congratulations.
Thank you. So I know that it works, right? Like, and I don't want it to just be throw the money at me, though I will take your money. Okay. I got a nonprofit. If you could throw big
Yeah, I
you
feel
could
that.
throw big money.
It's not just that, but it's,
I think because I could reallocate that to community building.
right,
But like Maisha saying, it's a both and. I don't want you to be like, oh, well, I paid Des. No, I'm like, pay me and come here. Like, pay me
right.
and
It's
come inside. Get your ass
right.
over here. You and your money.
And
Come on.
also, if you're giving mutual aid and you know you need therapy, so your mutual aid is outweighing your payment for therapy, that's not equitable for you either. So how do
That
we
doesn't
create
make any
containers
sense.
that are accessible for everyone where it's maybe it's something simple as, oh, hey, I'll pay your phone bill. Can I take this class? Everything that I do is pay what you can. So if you ain't got, if somebody don't got it, I just
You
be
ain't
like, all
got
right,
it.
come on, let's go take this class. That's it. You ain't got it, you
You
ain't
just
got it,
don't have
because
it.
we
It
know
all comes out
the
in the
laws
wash.
of the universe. It's reciprocity. The universe will be like, oh, okay. So when you
Right.
have a need, like Des, you taking that class, or me reaching out to someone about IFS and they're looking to fulfill a scholarship for me, that's because I put out good energy that people couldn't afford a 1 year program or the
Right.
community. So we
When you're
give
gonna love
scholarships freely.
it. I
Like
enjoy
you have to be, not have to. This can't be a one-sided. Oh, my ancestors
it.
suffered, so you have to do all this for me. I don't personally move that way.
I don't, and I don't. It doesn't feel good to operate in that for me,
Right.
in my body, right? I don't want to exploit your guilt, pain, and shame. First of all, I don't. It doesn't. I'm not doing that. Like, ew. That's
Yeah.
just gross to me. I also don't believe that shame is a real emotion. I think it's yet another construct that's a byproduct of Christianization. And you could learn that by watching toddlers. They have no shame. Okay, my kids, your 3-year-old, if you a 3-year-old will literally come to the living room and shit in the middle of your floor and smile at you and keep going. They have no shame. It does not exist, right? They could
That's
just be
interesting.
naked everywhere. Children are an amazing teacher. Shame for me is not a real emotion. It is a construct. So I will not stand by it and I will not perpetuate it, right? Like
That's
I'm
really
like
interesting.
well, thank you. I'm like, I hear you. I feel you. You
Hmm.
feel that. That's real. Let's get more to the root of it, right? Like, are you feeling embarrassed? Are you feeling helpless? Are you feeling
Yeah.
empowered? Like, there's a lot of shit that you're feeling that ain't got nothing to do with shame. Christianization gave you shame, right? Because it could create an intercessory. So you're feeling shame that feeds into isolation. It feeds into those pillars of supremacy, culture of individualism, and having power over someone. And that often relates in a capitalistic slave economy to money. So you think that I'm a charity that you're giving money to, and that should absolve you. And as somebody who grew up Irish Christian, I'm not absolving you of shit, right? Like I remember going and getting like, I'm going to repent my sins and like do all this shit. do my Hail Marys and Our Fathers. And like, I'm not here to absolve you, right? I'm here to hold you. I could help you walk through this. I could help you dismantle this,
Yeah.
and we could co-create together. But I am not absolving you of shit. Sit with it and let's figure out what you're actually feeling and let's move through that.
Yeah. Face it, feel it, so you can do something about it is my motto. Well, friends, this was
That's the
great.
spin on me, Sam.
Do you have anything else to share before we wrap up today?
Mm-mm. Just love and appreciate y'all.
I love you too.
Love you all too.
I'm gonna take a nap before my tiny humans come home.
Okay, enjoy your PSL day,
I am.
and I'll see y'all next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye,
Mwah.
everyone.